Hello, welcome again to a new episode, 100th episode of the QCast. I'm John, joined again by my good pal Eddie.
Wow.
100 times,
100 times. Well, after today it will be.
We're well on our way.
Could you have imagined 2 years ago, two plus years ago, that we would be here, John?
No. Do you remember when we started? I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to do a podcast, and I knew you were good on camera, so I asked you. You showed up that first day, and you didn't even know it was going to be videoed. Remember? You thought it was going to be audio. You're like, oh, this is going to be a video production too? I was like, yeah. Right. So, no, I don't think anybody is prepared to go 100 deep into
I've really upped my wardrobe game just to accommodate your YouTube channel.
Yes. You can tell we're all fancied up here.
Do you remember where you pitched the idea to me?
Oh, that's a good question. Was it at Lifetime?
No. It was at Abo's Pizzeria.
Oh, okay.
Right over here in Louisville.
You, me, and Paula were.
Or was that Lafayette? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. That was, I almost forgot about that. Did you bring that? Was that pizza you brought yesterday? Was that from Abo's?
Oh, no, that's from a different place.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Yes, that was good times. And here we are, 100 episodes later.
100 episodes, probably, I don't know, 2,000 paddles later?
Yeah, a few thousand paddles.
Right.
Well, good stuff. Eddie, we do have an exciting show, a little bit different format this time.
It's a big-ass show, John.
Yes, it's going to go for a couple of hours probably. I want to talk a couple of latest news, gear, gossip, key points. We're going to have a paddle giveaway. We're going to give away, I think it's 8 paddles total, which are all the current and upcoming permanent grit paddles or durable grit paddles. Cool stuff there. Chris Olson sent a video that I have not seen yet, so we're going to get a live reaction, really? You and I. I have no idea what to expect, but he sent it in yesterday. I've got some tales from the volcano, and I can't do an episode and not get nerdy. Okay. All right, so we're going to get some go down a rabbit hole of some spin test results.
We will indulge you, John.
Okay,
it's your show.
Thank you, good sir. And then we're going to have some fun segments at the end. So hot takes for episode 100.
I can't wait. I got some good questions for you, John.
Good stuff. We got then versus now. So things like, what did we used to believe that are no longer, that we no longer believe, and what are some of the things we actually got right. Top 5 metrics that actually matter, and then some Q&A. Oh, and then future predictions for the next 100 episodes.
Oh my goodness.
Goals, I should say. But first, Eddie, we've got the charcuterie tray here. This time, no donuts.
No donuts.
And as promised, I went and bought a $100 bottle of wine for episode 100. Awesome. Yes.
I've been sucking down NyQuil, so this will go nicely. Nice
your
2026
be very
vintage.
Happy with you. Right. So this is, I was debating, Eddie. I was like, Napa Valley, do I go California?
We did Napa last time, right?
Yeah, we did. But my reasoning is I went old world here. I got a Spanish red. First of all, I love Spanish reds and Portuguese reds. Love that region. Secondly, you get so much more bang for your buck with old world wines because what you're paying for in wines is the vineyard, and the smaller the vineyard, the more the wine costs, and the property costs in California are outrageous. They're in Europe too, but they've owned these lands in Europe for millennia now, right? Or at least a few hundred years. So all that cost is already paid for. So you can take that cost out of a lot of these old world wines and get a really superior quality wine. I'm sorry if you're a huge fan of California wines. Don't mean to rub you the wrong way there. But this is a Rioja. It comes from a vineyard called La Rioja. Can you read that? Alta. La Rioja Alta. And it's basically a blend of all the best vineyards in that region. They have stakes in all the little tiny villages, vineyards, and it's a blend of all those.
I could have been drinking all this time while you were yakking away.
But it's not just you and me in here. Let's invite Erika in. She's the lab manager here. She's been working hard.
She's such a big drinker, though.
She doesn't like red wine, but we're gonna toast.
Does she even need a glass?
Let me invite her in. I've got 3 glasses here.
Just in from the green room.
Yes.
Hey, Erika.
Yes, indeed. Maybe squeeze this. Sit here. Maybe squeeze in beside Eddie. So we've got such a massive studio, and we can fit dozens of people in here. But
get in on that one.
There you go. So I'm going to pour 3 glasses of wine here, Erika, how much would you like?
Oh, a sip would do.
Just a sip, okay. I just learned that Erika is more of a white wine person, but we'll pour some red. She's been working so hard on all the PB core and all the spend data we're presenting today. We can't not do a toast together.
I appreciate it.
Erika, what's the best part of working on the show?
Honestly, I was in the pickleball world before this, but I didn't know the depth of the pickleball world in the sense of all the data we collect. And next week, John will come and be like, actually, this is what we're going to go
whole
for.
new battery
A whole
of
new.
tests, right?
So it's always fun to then go back and be like, I know all about that paddle that you're playing with, but in a completely different sense. So
Yeah, but you're not a paddle nerd at all.
I
you're
am not, no.
You play with your paddle tech. You played with it for years. Before that, it was the ProKinetics Black Ace. You played with it for a couple of years. But now you know all this information about all paddles, but you're still sticking with paddle
Doesn't
tech.
matter.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to dabble, but I always go back. So
Okay, gotcha. Well, it is a pleasure to have you. This is Team Q Industries here. this is all of our employees. So
Just the North American operations.
right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. All right, everybody's got to give their taste profile. What are the notes you're tasting? Ooh,
That is nice.
it does not disappoint.
I'm getting a lot of fruitiness. Some black currant, perhaps.
Yes, black currant. I'm getting red and black currant.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Right. Some blackberry.
A little bit of pepperiness.
I was about to say the spices
Right.
are there's some earthiness to
Tastes
it.
winey, right?
Yeah,
Erika?
yeah.
Yeah,
Tastes-
winey.
grapes.
Grapes. No, I'm seriously getting some tobacco and maybe some sandalwood. Would you tasting that? I love the earthiness. It's not sweet. It's very kind of,
It is very earthy.
yeah. Stuff you don't get with a $20 bottle of
That
wine.
is excellent, John.
Yes, it is.
It's
It is.
lovely.
Awesome. Well,
thanks
thank
for
you.
having
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers to 100 more.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.
See you in 2 years, Erika.
Alrighty, Eddie. Let's jump into latest news and gear gossip. I've just found out literally 10 minutes ago something, and I put it in the notes. It's not.
I love it when you do
your
that, by
notes.
the way.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
That's my favorite thing.
Just off the cuff, just ripping it, Eddie. So, turns out Gamma Sports just filed for bankruptcy. Gamma, yeah. So they've been around. They were actually started in 1963. I just learned the backstory in this article. Started in 1963 by a nuclear engineer, Henry Ferrari.
Oh, Gamma. I get it.
Yeah, who was an avid tennis player who patented a new set of strings that he used an irradiation process to enhance these artificial tennis racket strings. So I did not know the history there. But yeah, then they unfortunately filed for bankruptcy. Their team was great too. They reached out to us a couple of years ago, and they were releasing their new paddles, and just really a pleasure to work with. And unfortunately, their paddles never really became hugely popular. They were legacy paddles, but they weren't there wasn't a lot of buzz over the past few years over Gamma. They did have some stats in the article saying that in 2024, gross sales for Gamma Sports was $14 million, which is a lot, but they lost $3 million that year too. So they're apparently a big company that needed a lot to.
Were they in more than just pickleball at that point?
Tennis. Well, I think pickleball was their main thing over the last couple of years, but yeah, they're still in tennis. But what the article was saying is that their decline and eventual bankruptcy was probably related to big sporting good retailers, brick and mortar stores also closing down. Dick's is basically taking over everything, but a lot of the smaller and competitors of Dick's have shut their doors, gone out of business. So Orvis, I think, was one of the companies that's closed, and a few others that I didn't recognize. Eddie Bauer, they didn't sell paddles, but that's another brick and mortar that filed bankruptcy this year or last year. I can't remember, but yeah. So they were, they had an online presence clearly, but they were really kind of locked in with, the Dick's model of sales. And when Dick's has, all the other really popular paddles out, Yola included, and Gamma probably took a hit there too.
Boy, when I started pickleball 7-8 years ago now, John, Gamma was a top 5 company
Right.
in pickleball. I mean, Selkirk was up there. But man, they were really prevalent.
Yeah, for sure.
But we haven't seen anything from them in a couple of years now.
Well, sad. Maybe they'll reorganize into a smaller company and come back, or at least their employees will go to other companies. Wish them well. All right, moving on to the next bullet point here. I got this from the last Dink podcast. So Zane and Nico were talking about is pickleball and should it be an indoor sport now? And they were talking clearly about the Texas Open last week. Did you catch any of that?
The wind was nuts.
It was crazy. And last year I was actually there, and it was windy then too, like unplayable, but it was like maybe a fragment or like 25% the amount of wind as it was this year. Like
I will not play in Texas.
The wind comes sweeping down the plain there. That particular venue too just has a massive open space to the west, and the wind just
and the setup, the wind just swirls. It's not even a single direction.
Well, all the outer courts, it's just like gale force winds in one direction, but that center court is surrounded by bleachers and stuff, so it is like a whirlwind effect. And yeah, it was just crazy to watch. But what do you think, Eddie? What's your take? Should pickleball now become mostly indoor?
No, I think one of the beautiful things about the sport is dealing with the elements, dealing with wind and sun, and there's a particular athletic aspect to dealing with that. We play football outside, we play baseball outside, and part of the fun of watching those sports is the weather. It can make it totally fun, and the wind is kind of interesting, right? Yeah. At a certain point, maybe they need to say above a certain number of miles per hour. We're just not. We're not going to do it.
They do that now. The referee has a windometer.
Yeah.
And anything above 30 miles an hour, which I think is way too high. There's no way you can play in 30 miles an hour. I mean, so I think, to me, I feel like much over 10, I'm hating it, but I could go up to maybe 15. 20 is way too high.
I think for the consistency of training and getting in regular games, having an indoor club is fantastic. You really can't beat it. But I think there's always going to be an outdoor element to pickleball, and that's kind of the joy of the sport.
Yeah. Damn it, I was hoping we'd have opposing opinions here. I wanted to have a point and counterpoint, but I agree. I think it should not become exclusively indoor. Not that we can't play indoors. I think there should be even pro tournaments indoors, and clearly we need indoors here in Colorado and other different climates that suck during the winter to play and train through the winter. But, I mean, first of all, just on a purely aesthetic level, there's nothing that really captures the look of pro pickleball better than an outdoor or sunny venue. It doesn't matter how good the lighting is indoors, it just doesn't look as good. Same with tennis, right? All the best tennis venues are, outdoors. Yeah, and another thing is lighting is still pretty bad in most indoor venues, and especially for like vision impaired people, including myself being colorblind. That's an impairment indoors for me. It's really hard for me to map onto the ball. It's oftentimes it hits me right in the chest before I even see it. It's kind of crazy. So the lighting has to be perfect, and it's never quite as good as outdoors, even in the best indoor circumstances. And yeah, like you said, there's the chaos element, which I feel like translates well into the pro game. The last thing we need is like something that's so predictable in the pro roster that's already so predictable. You've got Ben and Annalie always winning, and you've got these. Not that we want it to be too chaotic, but I think introducing a little bit of chaos makes it more fun for the viewers. Maybe not for the players, but for the top players at least. But yeah, I think that's important.
Remember when they were lobbing Lee Waters into the sun?
Yes.
She lost her mind.
That's so funny.
It's fun.
That's become such a meme. Yeah.
It's absolutely fun. And could you imagine watching tennis indoors all the time?
No, that would be sad.
I mean, it doesn't have the wind impact that the wind has on pickleball, but still.
Yeah, it's not as fun. I think that the answer is clearly have both, but the ideal, if you had to boil down to one venue, what would be the ideal venue? It would be like a hybrid venue with some indoor courts to go to in case it starts raining. Like Worlds at Dallas has that. They have two massive, one massive building in the center of everything. They used to have a few tennis courts. And now it has dozens of pickleball courts. The lighting's terrible in there. They need to fix that. But otherwise, like there's a grandstand court in there, or not a grandstand, but it's a pro court, a couple of them that the pros come and play when it's raining or too windy or something. So that seems to be the ideal situation.
Look at us, John. Lockstep.
Lockstep.
This is why we compare notes.
Right. All right. Let's jump into the giveaway, shall we?
Oh, my goodness. So exciting.
Yeah. So I reached out to a few companies, all the ones producing the durable grit paddles right now and ones that are coming. So we got 11624. We've got Chorus, which is developing one right now, the Harmony Grit. We've got Honolulu, which is also developing one, their Blue Endurance Grit. The Selkirk, their Infinity Grit. 60 has their Diamond Tough Grit. And finally, Spartus has their... I always forget Spartus. After I name off all the others, like Infinigrit throws me off, and I can't remember Spartus's anymore.
Permagrit.
Permagrit, thank you.
That's the one I can remember. I have a hard time with the other ones.
That's why we're good together, Eddie. So what we're doing is giving away one of each of these. So we got one 11624 Power 2. I think I'll have to call up David and see if it's going to be a Hirachi X or a Pegasus or a Vapor or winner's choice, probably winner's choice. We've got the Chorus Harmony Grit. That's not out yet. It'll be a while. And Matt, the owner of Chorus, gave the winner two options. Either they can be the first to have one of the new prototypes, which is not USAP approved yet, or you can wait until the USAP approved one comes around. So the Coda hybrid shape is the one that if you want the hybrid prototype now, you can get that hybrid shape, or wait until the production models.
John, I think for one special winner, you and I should hand deliver the paddle to the person.
Deliver. Yeah, maybe we can plan on going to like a tournament or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Honolulu is giving away 3 of their Crystal Blue Endurance Grit, and it's currently available for pre-order. And I think just the J2 CR. It's coming soon in the J6 CR. So we have 2 of the J2 shapes, J2 CRs, and 1 of the J6 CRs to give away. 1 Selkirk boomstick. I actually have it's just a gift card, a digital gift card. I'll just send that to whoever wins. The 60 Coral. I think it's similar to what 11624 is doing. I presume it's going to be your shape of choice, whoever the winner is, and then they'll ship it directly to you. And then Spartus P1, that comes in 1 shape right now, the hybrid shape, although I saw that the Elongated just got USAP approved, so that's forthcoming. So thank you to all these brands. Rules. So I'll have a link in the description where you can enter your email and your name. And one of the requirements is that you sign up for the newsletter. And you can cancel anytime, obviously. But I think, there's not many people. I think the people that aren't signed up yet for the newsletter are missing out. At least read one of them. If you don't like it, bail on us. That's fine. But
that's pretty easy. I think you set the bar pretty low for that one, John.
And then you fill out the giveaway.
Send it out to send this show link to 100 friends. 100 friends. That would be better.
Nah, I'm a big softy.
I'd have to make 90 friends.
Right. So then, you fill out the rest of the Google form and hit submit, and you will be entered to win. Awesome. And then I'll use out of all the people that submitted and entered, I'll use a random number generator and pick those 8 people, and the awards will go consecutively to those 8 people in descending order. So alphabetized the brands and the paddles. So let's start with 11624. The first person I pick with that random number generator will win the 11624 Power 2. And all the way down to the Spartus P1 for the last winner. And again, thank you to all the brands. All of them immediately responded to my request and were like, "Yep, love to. Congratulations on your 100th episode. I'd love it if you do enter, if you could go and follow all these brands on Instagram. Not a requirement again, but it'd be a nice token of appreciation for what they're giving away."
And thanks to all our listeners too. I mean, we've come so far, John. We get sometimes 25,000 views on these videos, which is crazy to think about the impact of that. But we started out with 0 subscribers, and now we're up to, I don't know how many, 30,000?
30,000. We just crossed that threshold.
And close to, I think, 6 million views on the channel overall. Wow. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So thank you to everybody.
Of course. It's viewers first. They are the reason why we're able to do this week after week and why companies are willing to send paddles to give away. So thank you, everybody. All right, Eddie, this one's going to be fun. So like I said, Chris Olson sent the video, and I did not watch it yet. So we're going to get a live reaction to this video, which I have no idea what it is.
Do you know how long it is?
I have no idea how long it is. So maybe it'll take up half the podcast. So you and I are going to watch it on the screen here.
Yep.
All right, what's up, John and Eddie? I just wanted to say a quick little congrats on making it to 100 podcast episodes. That is a really big deal because not many podcasts in the entire world make it to 100 podcast episodes, let alone in pickleball. So I hope you guys feel special for making it to 100 episodes. It is not easy to do a weekly podcast every single week. And Eddie, you especially, a big congrats because you are currently the reigning champ, the longest standing co-host in all of the pickleball podcasts. And I think that deserves a pretty big congrats. And John, I would just say to you, you better do whatever you got to do to keep this guy happy. If he needs the nicest steaks, whatever paddles he wants, whatever else Eddie is into, I'd suggest you give it to him because he's probably worth keeping around as the longest standing co-host. But anyways, jokes aside, big congrats, guys. I think it's really cool what you guys have done. You guys have built a really good podcast. I think it's been something that's very valuable to pickleball. And John, you specifically, it's been great getting to know you over the years. I feel like we've become really good friends, and you've pushed me to do better in the content that I'm making. I'll let you know right now, I am never going to own a ball cannon, nor do I ever want to do some of the data and analytical things you've done. I feel like I've gotten a little glimpse of that in the last month, and I hate every second of it. So I'm glad you enjoyed doing it because I don't want to do it, and I don't think many other people do. And I think we need that in pickleball, and I think it helps drive things forward. So congrats to you. It's been great getting to know you. And then Eddie, I haven't met you that many times, maybe once or twice. I'm actually not 100% sure, but I'm just going to let you know now, the next time I see you, I got a lot more lobs
I'm sure you
in the
do.
future for you. If you thought the last time was the peak of lobs, no. I got way more for you, buddy. So anyways, congrats, guys, and enjoy the 100th episode.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so funny.
Good stuff, Chris. Thank you, good sir. That's special.
Was that a little goatee he had going on there?
I did not notice.
A little 5 o'clock shadow or maybe a 5-day shadow for Chris. I'm not sure what he's capable of in that regard.
Yeah, we haven't seen facial hair from Chris
That
yet.
is awesome. Thank you,
yes,
Chris.
Good point on keeping Eddie around. He's well worth it. Well worth the $100 bottle of wine.
I feel like it's time to talk about my contract, John.
Yes, let's talk about your raise and your salary.
Too funny.
Good stuff. Thank you, Chris. That was fun. I can't wait till the next time we see him, and it's going to be everything is going to be lobs. You against him against you.
I gotta go train in the villages or something.
That's what happens with you and I too. Like every time we play together, it's just like we can't stop ourselves from lobbing each other. I think it's because we both hate it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Speaking of me being analytical and nerdy, I'm going to get into details from the ball cannon and give some updated spin results. So remember last week we talked about kind of the updated results on the durable spin paddles, durable grip paddles. And I kind of gave a rundown there. And I said, hey, I was wondering what I'll do for next week, and speaking in terms of last week, is to measure the spin with my arm and a radar gun on all these paddles, which I did. We'll compare that in a second. But first, I also wanted to give some updated statistics. So I started beefing up the sample size of all these paddles which we already tested. I also threw in the Honolulu J2CR Blue Grit because that was just UPAA only approved. So
by sample size, you mean the number of paddles?
No, that and the number of hits with the ball cannon.
Okay. So you were at 100 last week.
Not that 100. So it's the reading before and after. So the before I get an average of the ball cannon, high-speed camera, the spin-off, right? So the RPM. And I wanted to get more sample size than that to narrow down that average, make it a little more accurate. And then, we added one paddle to this. But, back to the Honolulu. So the J2CR is now UPAA only approved. And this is the exact same formulation he sent me that is now approved. So I figured I'd put the data in here. And Jam gave me the permission to talk about this, right? Even before he knew what the results were. Could have gone wrong for him, right? It could have been bad news. So back to the increased sample size. So what I was doing before is to measure RPM with a high-speed camera. I set it at a really high frame rate, over 1,000 frames per second, and fired the ball at it, and within this 55 to 60 mile an hour range. And I looked at the 5 or 6 shots that were collected within that range, and I threw out kind of the outliers. Usually there's a couple of like lower ones that don't match, the others.
Yep.
Occasionally you'll get a really high one that is just like, I don't understand that one. So typically I was taking like the two highest ones, right? And oftentimes it's the exact same RPM. You get the exact same frames per half revolution to get the RPM, so it spits out the same RPM, and that was working pretty well. So I was doing that before and doing it after. I don't know if that's the best method, so I started working with increasing the sample size to 10 for each of those RPM measurements, right? And then still throwing out the really clear outliers, for whatever reason, sometimes the ball hits wrong or something. Even it's the exact same spot on the paddle, something about the ball maybe is throwing that off. So I'll throw away like something that's super low that doesn't match the others, and then do an average. So that is not on this table I'm showing on the screen now. This is using the highest cluster, the old method, but with an increased sample size. And what you can see here is, remember last week, all of the paddles lost a little bit of spin.
5%, right?
All the durable ones were clustering around 3.5 to 4.5% loss. That's still the case, although a couple of them lost no appreciable spin, no measurable spin, and that is the 11624 Vapor Power 2 and the new Honolulu J2 CR Blue Grip. So basically, I saw that top-end cluster at the beginning, and the exact same top-end cluster happened at the end. So 2540, and just so happens, it's exactly the same spin for the 11624 Vapor Power 2 as the Honolulu J2 CR Blue Grip. Now again, it might seem fishy. Wait, the exact same 2540 RPM? Well, again, we're counting frame rates, and if it lands on the exact same frame rates, it's plus or minus like 20 RPM or something, or 10 RPM. So you're getting like a 20 RPM wiggle room within that. So there's a little bit of correction there, or a little bit of wiggle room for each of these to vary a little bit. But regardless, really impressive results, and you cannot feel any difference at all on all of the durable grip paddles, in particular the Vapor Power 2 and the Blue Grip. And I'd say the Spartus P1 is in the similar. Mm-hmm. But the Spartus P1, it got 2,900 originally, and then there was a cluster at 2,771. So that's the highest spinning paddle, beginning and ending, right? The ending spin is still higher than everyone else's beginning, but it lost 4.5%, which is negligible. 6.0 Coral Elongated lost 4.1%. Ruby Pro lost 3%. Selkirk Lux 2 lost 13%. And the Spartus P1, like I already mentioned, 4.5%. And the control paddle here, or at least like what does a typical raw carbon fiber paddle look like? That's the Vatic Saga Flash long handle. That lost 341 RPM, and that's a spin loss of 18%. So
that's about right for a
yeah. And in fact, we did another one today. Erika just shot the Pegasus. Was it Power? The original Pegasus Power, which is standard raw carbon fiber, and preliminary results, I just kind of eyeballed the data she collected. I didn't run like averages or anything, but it looks to be exactly the same spin loss, somewhere between 300 and 400 RPM. So I think this is going to be really standard for raw carbon fiber to lose about that much, 300 to 400 RPM, using this accelerated and method. So promising results from all of these. I look forward to testing for Selkirk. I want to see what their newer formulation for the InfiniGrid on the boomstick, for example, looks like. So I may reach out to them to ask to get a new one, because both of mine are used. I can't really run the test on it anymore. And then see if it gets similar results. I have a feeling that Lux 2 is something's fishy about it. We'll talk more about that in a second.
Okay. Have you put any thought into designing a protocol that would take one of these paddles down to a certain RPM level? Because that would be really interesting. What does it take to get these durable grit surfaces to come down to where these carbon fiber paddles are?
Yeah, the old Tootsie Pop.
Yes,
Enigma, right? Yes, and we'll talk about that. I think that's one of the questions you pulled in, right?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, so what I'm doing now is like this 300 RPM loss is kind of that threshold where I think is meaningful to most people. when you lose 300 RPM on your paddle, you start to notice it, and most people do. They're like, there's significant loss in spin. Your ball's not shaped as much as it was before, et cetera. So I feel like that's kind of the threshold I'm shooting for here. And yeah, the goal would be to take all of these down to like 300 RPM loss and see what that looks like, in terms of, the trend there. Mm-hmm. Is it just a linear drop, or is it a plateau and a steep drop, or a plateau, then, a steep drop, then a plateau? It could be any number of things. So I think that's going to be useful information. And then the flip side of that is, okay, well, why don't we take it down to like a specific RPM, right? I'll take them all down to 1700 or something like that.
Right.
So that's another potential, but we'll talk about that in the Q&A a little later. Let's jump in. Let's look more at these data, though. And what I said at the beginning of this segment is I wanted to compare my arm and radar gun results to the Canon, because I know that just looking at the Canon results, I'm not going to get 2,900 RPM on the Spartus P1. I've never gotten that high on any paddle using my arm, right? So this is, I just wanted to compare the two, first of all, and then like reassess, am I using the right methodology on the ball cannon if it's producing results that aren't achievable on the court, right? So we'll talk about that too. So looking at this first chart, arm versus cannon, tell me the colors here. Is that orange and blue?
Yep.
Okay. The orange line is my arm with the radar gun, and the blue line is the ball cannon. And this is RPM on the y-axis and paddles on the x-axis. Now, don't look at that orange line and be like, wow, your arm is way more consistent than the ball cannon. That's not what this is showing. I just sorted the data based on descending order RPM on my arm. And the differences are showing the ball cannon curve to be meandering around that. If I sorted by ball cannon, then my arm would look all jagged.
Understood.
So what it's showing is that 3 paddles are pretty close. The Honolulu J2CR Blue Grit, the 11624 Vapor Power 2, and the Selkirk Lux 2 all are within, I'd say probably 100 RPM difference between my arm and the ball cannon. And the others vary quite a bit, or vary up to 300 or 400 RPM. And there's some interesting trends here that I wanted to flesh out. So I saw that, for example, the Spartus P1 gets way higher spin than on the ball cannon than my arm does, but the 6.0 Coral gets way lower spin on the ball cannon than my arm. So what gives there? So I started thinking, okay, well, maybe paddles like the Spartus P1, there's no ball slippage on the face, even at high speed impacts. So you can imagine the ball hitting the paddle at 60 miles an hour. The grip is just so grippy on the face of the paddle, it just doesn't allow the ball to slide in anywhere, and it spins off at an extremely high rate. Versus other paddles, the lower spinning ones with the ball cannon, maybe it's coming in too fast. That 60 miles an hour is just too fast to optimize the spin on those particular paddles. So the 6.0 Coral, for example, and we're getting too much slippage of the ball sliding across the paddle face, which reduces ball spin. Do you remember that a few weeks ago I did like the high-speed camera results and looked at a couple of paddles, including like the Diadem Vice, and you could see the ball literally sliding across the Vice face like 2 to 3 inches, and it got crap spin, right? Versus another paddle, it got great spin, it slid maybe a quarter to a half an inch, and it's much grippier. So sliding across the paddle causes a big reduction in spin. So then I went back and captured not just 60 miles an hour, but the same paddles at 50 miles an hour and 40 miles an hour. So if we scroll down to the next chart, that's what this is showing. And I thought for sure that this would kind of flatten out that curve. But what we're seeing here is that it's the same trend across all inbound velocities, more or less. There's a little bit of straightening of the curve at 40 miles per hour in particular. Gotcha. So 40 and 50 are almost identical, just the 40 is a little bit lower than 50 in terms of spin.
And the 60 is a little flatter.
And the 60 is more steep.
Yeah.
Right. But this wasn't what I expected, because I was expecting, at lower speeds, we get less ball slippage, and it would kind of even out some of those lower spinning paddles like the 6.0 Coral, but you still see a dip in that for whatever reason. And I don't know what to think of that yet. I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around it. Another variable here that's important is the angle of the paddle. I'm clamping it at 30 degrees, where the ball's coming at it, and the paddle's clamped at 30 degrees. And I tested all the different degrees in like 5 to 10 degree increments, and that seems to be absolutely the best. But it could be that certain paddles just behave better at slightly different, like a 5-degree incline. So maybe 35 degrees is better for the coral, and better at 30 degrees is better for the.
Have you looked at your serve impact at high speed to see what kind of angulation that you have?
No, that would be cool though. That would be something I want to do. But what I wanted to do then, on top of this, is to look at, instead of just eyeballing it with this line chart, is to actually run a regression analysis and see which of the inbound speeds is correlated higher to my arm than the others. So that's what I did on these 3 scatter plots. So the first one is at 40 miles per hour. You can see the R squared there is terrible, 0.048. So it's explaining not even, that line is explaining not even 50% of the variance of these dots. It's higher on the 50 miles per hour, 0.68. And in between, 60 miles an hour falls in between the 40 and 50 miles an hour at 0.59. Now, what caught my eye on these scatter plots is there's one outlier, the same outlier on every single chart. And it's that one that's the lowest RPM for my arm, and that is the Selkirk Lux. So if you look at the 40 mile an hour chart, the Selkirk Lux is that one, the lowest dot on that scatter plot, and the ball cannon got 1,600 something RPM, and according to this model, regression model, that should have resulted in spin with my arm up around 2,200 RPM. But what I got with my arm was way down like 1,900 something, right? So that's the same outlier on the 50 miles an hour and on the 40 miles per hour. And what I did was took out that outlier, you don't see that on these charts, and reran the regression analysis. The new R squared values, taking out the Selkirk Lux, are 40 miles per hour, 0.806.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 80% prediction. 50 miles per hour, 0.753.
Okay.
75%.
Still up there.
60 miles per hour, 0.69. So it is the highest predictor when that outlier is removed is at 40 miles per hour. So that might mean I need to change my inbound speed for all of these tests to 40 miles per hour. And just so happens that's what PPL is using. They probably did the research the same as I did and landed on the same conclusion. Now, the reason I chose 60 miles an hour, I also did research before I landed on that, and it's because the highest spinning paddles are getting the highest RPM at 60 miles per hour, which is true. But I feel like the initial data that I'm seeing here right now, the flip side of that coin is there are really good performing paddles that perform really well on the court that are performing pretty poorly with the ball cannon. And my only kind of conclusion out of that is that it's probably the ball speed. That ball speed is too high, and it's causing some slippage. Because the 6-0 coral, I got 2,100, almost 2,200 RPM.
Wow, that's 500 more.
Yeah, I'm now doing spin tests here in the basement against the backboard, but I've been doing them on courts up to now, and even before I brought it to the basement, 6-0 coral still got 2,200 RPM almost, which is good, really good. And again, a new one here in the basement got the same thing. But yeah, it's getting 1,700 RPM on the ball cannon. And I can't figure out why. And, even at lower speeds, it's still deflated. The 6-0 coral, for whatever reason, like I said, maybe I'll mess around with the angle. Regardless to say, we're making iterative improvements on the methodology here, and I'm figuring out some things, but we're still not 100% there in terms of which methodology is the best. But it does seem to be that 40 miles an hour inbound might be the best for just kind of that standard to compare all paddles to, moving forward, even though the results of that are going to be much lower than, or mostly lower than what I can get with my arm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Drink some more wine, Eddie. If I haven't put you to sleep yet, just wait till you drink another glass of wine. Oh, good stuff. I'm going to take a 10-second break and have some of this.
I think Chris might be onto something.
Lovely cheese. What's that?
No ball cannon. No data. All right, John, what are we up to?
We're up to hot takes, Eddie.
All right. How do you
Let's
want to do
some
this?
rapid fire.
I mean, it just hit you?
Yep. Give me a couple seconds.
You want to go alternate?
Let's alternate.
All right. I bet we have some of the same.
Probably.
All right. I actually have a few more than 10, so we'll see how this goes.
I've got 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Do you too?
Yeah, same. All right. Ready? I'm not good at this hot take thing, by the way. I don't run my life that way.
You know I do.
Oh, sure.
I'm all about hot takes. Okay, you go first, Eddie.
All right. John, favorite company to work with as a reviewer?
Oh my God! Boom! Starting off with a bang. Oh God! Jeez, the rules here are you can't linger, you can't overanalyze.
Right.
But nothing's popping in my head right away. I can think of a few that are fantastic to work with.
Give me a couple.
All right, we've got Franklin. Ryan's been great to work with. We've got Honolulu. Jam has been great to work with. Bread and Butter. Doug's always a pleasure. 6-0. Dale's always a pleasure. Geez. Now I'm just going through every company.
Yeah, just
like literally,
they're
like
all
there,
good, right?
there are a bunch of really good ones.
There's a couple. That
I'm sure that your next question is going to be who's the worst
Nope,
company.
I'm not going to go there. That wouldn't be.
Yeah. Man, who else? Oh yeah, David from Lab 624. Great to work with. And what does it take to be great to work with on these companies?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like being clear and upfront. With paddle releases and when we get a prototype versus not a prototype and that sort of thing. It's all been a learning curve for all of us, so I can understand months or years ago things were different and it was hard to nail that down. And then just great communication style, and then meeting them personally always helps too.
I think there's a humbleness to some of the top companies we work with as well. There's not this cockiness that their stuff is the best and
for sure.
Not everything's groundbreaking.
For sure. Apes, Ivan's great to work with.
That's another good example.
Who am I forgetting?
So if John hasn't mentioned you, you suck. Oh, Matt from Chorus. He's amazing.
Yeah, Matt. Another good person. All right, your turn, Eddie.
All right.
So did thermoforming help or hurt pickleball?
Ultimately, I think it helped. I think there were definitely some growing pains. We saw those issues with delamination and other issues, but ultimately, I think it did push the technology.
Totally agree.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, without thermoforming, we wouldn't have our Gen 4 fully floating thermoform paddles, which perform way better than the Gen 4 non-thermoform paddles. Right.
John, biggest surprise paddle?
Biggest surprise paddle. Man, I suck at this, Eddie. Nothing's like coming to me right away. Do you want to narrow it down? Ever? Or this year?
Whatever comes to mind.
Biggest surprise paddle. All right. I'd have to say, recently, that Head, the new paddle from Head, was a surprise.
That's fair.
Didn't like the look of it. Didn't expect much from it, but it performed well. Do you remember it? I don't even remember the model name. I'll put it up on the screen here.
I just remember the glitter.
It's a glittery face, which, I love the glitter. But yeah, it performed really well.
Okay.
All right. Elongated or widebody?
For me, widebody. I like the sweet spot, and I like the way they look generally better than elongated paddles.
Wow, that's a hot take. The look of it.
Yeah,
Most people like the look of elongated better. And that I was still surprised. I thought you used to be more of an elongated person.
I still love elongated paddles, but if there's two of the exact same model, I will probably gravitate to the widebody.
Gotcha.
Or a hybrid.
Graphite. That's another note in this.
Okay. Slate? You picking up any slate?
Maybe.
John, what's your favorite shot?
Shot? Pickleball shot?
For you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm moving away from it more when it's becoming less effective as I'm getting a little bit playing stiffer competition. But the Yates was always something I just love. I love hitting, not even a hard Yates, just like a super soft one that just floats over their opposite shoulder and it just lands in. That's one of my favorite shots.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like we should both answer because I'm curious.
Can.
Yeah. What's your favorite shot?
Oh, I love kind of a high ball that comes to the middle. And if I'm on the left side, I can run into it. And then I have options on where to drive that ball. I can go middle, either side.
So you're volleying, you're poaching? Or
no, I'm hitting it off the bounce.
Okay.
Hitting it off the bounce. But hitting that drive off the bounce is so fun.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Is durable spin overrated?
No.
That was quick.
No, there won't be a paddle pretty soon that will sell in large volume without it.
Yeah.
People are definitely tuned into this. We now see through your data and through others that it's legitimate. It's not just a marketing term.
Yeah. I would agree. Time will tell whether or not it actually is overrated. I imagine that some companies will send something out to the market that's claimed as durable and it ends up not being. But yeah, preliminary results from all these tests do indicate that the big ones, the Spartus P1, the Elizabeth 24, Hex Grit, and others are performing well. So the new Blue Grit too.
All right, John. Here's one that you might want to have to think about, but we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe you've already got one in mind. But what's your walkout song?
Like MMA fight walkout song?
You're about to go into the championship round of your tournament.
We're talking pickleball, not anything else. Okay.
The cameras are on you. It's running in slow motion.
That's a rough one.
What's your walkout
That's
song?
a rough one. So I'm incapable, Eddie, of just giving like a direct answer. I've always got to like pull in all these adjacent, So I have such a diverse musical tastes. Like I go from like classical to really aggressive, screamo, metal. But for pickleball, I don't want anything like Deftones playing when I'm walking out on the court. And even though I love the Deftones, I think something more. I'd go with something ironic. I think if I was walking out on a pickleball court, maybe like some Ken Yates. So he's like a classical guitar singer-songwriter. You know what I mean? So something like really, really pleasant and endearing. Yes, that's what I do. What's your
Something from
song?
The Sound of Music, perhaps.
There we go. I like it. West Side Story.
I like a hard beat, like Eminem, Lose Yourself, something like that. That boom, 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 boom. Like get me going.
You're speaking my stepson's language. He's been upstairs. He's exploring music now, so he's all over the place. He goes from like techno to metal, and he's jamming to Eminem lately. Just like I hear him in the shower. He's got his beatbox going in the shower. Okay. All right, he's gonna be petrified if he watches this. He doesn't watch it. He'll never see it. Most overused word in paddle marketing.
That was one of my questions.
Was it?
Yeah. Perfect blend of power and control.
That was my answer. That's a term more than a word.
Right.
Yeah. I think also T700 and Toray.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it matters anymore. I used to think Toray matters. And I still think that like quality materials clearly, do well in the paddle. But first of all, it's almost impossible to know if people are just BSing when they say that Toray or if it's real. And secondly, like T700 is basically every other raw carbon fiber is meaningless. When's the last time your paddle broke and you were like, damn, that modulus of the carbon fiber for letting my paddle break? Right.
Every time. There's some Chinese guy in a factory. His name is Toray. So
he puts a stamp on every paddle.
All right. What's the weirdest thing you've seen during a game or a tournament?
Personally or on video? I mean, on video, It's the guy kicking the guy in the face, knocking him out cold.
That's crazy.
That's craziness. Personally, it's much more tame, man. Like our group of people is pretty tame. Man, I struggle to think of anything crazy at all that I've seen on the pickleball court. I've never seen any fights. I've seen some tempers flare a little bit, but never like to the point of like, oh, this might turn into something more serious. I think it's just like people getting hit in the face, with the ball unintentionally.
Sure.
That's probably it.
All right.
What about you?
I remember playing in the Rocky Mountain Championship when I first moved here, mixed doubles, and we were playing this married couple. And we had them. I mean, they were going to lose the game, but she got so upset at her husband. She sat at the kitchen line, right at the tee, crossed her legs, sat on the ground, crossed her arms, and was
during a point, like in between points.
No, just right after the point.
Oh, after the game, or
no, middle of the game.
Oh God, that's awkward. What did the husband do? That is very awkward. Yeah, tournaments brings out the worst in people.
I love playing married couples.
Divorce alley is a real thing.
Exactly.
Now that I'm recalling tournaments, I think another outrageous thing I saw was the first tournament I went to. Some guy was dressed up in all neon yellow-green. He looked like a giant pickleball. And he was like speeding up every ball, and he couldn't even see it, because it's just blending in with his clothes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No more of that, right?
That's right. Did you do the last one? You did.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Is dwell time real or imaginary?
In my subjective opinion. I will say it's real.
Okay. All right.
But the data is showing otherwise, right, John?
Yes, and you even predicted my next question. I'll save it, though.
Okay.
So, yeah, data is suggesting that dwell time is not what we think it is. Yes, there's differences in the amount of time that the ball stays on the paddle face between paddles, but it's on the order of like half a millisecond from the longest to the briefest amount of time. And what we typically associate with dwell time, which is like max spin and power, definitely it's not the most power. The dwelliest paddles are the least powerful ones, which makes sense when you think about it in a physics point of view, because a high power paddle is going to bounce that ball. It's going to want to return that energy very quickly, and that's what it does. But a low power paddle kind of bends back with the ball, and the ball comes off slower, so it stays on the face a little longer. I digress.
All
Let's
right.
move on.
John, what's the most overhyped paddle? Doesn't have to be current.
Okay, overhyped paddle. I mean, I'm going to bring this in later, and now it doesn't seem like a hyped paddle anymore at all. But the original Adidas Metalbone was way hyped, and I went back, did a little research to figure out what kind of foam it used, because it was a full foam paddle. And looking at that research, like it was a good looking paddle, and it had a lot going for it in terms of like what the technology was behind it. Like it was very innovative, but it just did not perform well. So I feel kind of bad for Adidas and their whole staff, but that was a lot of hype. 3 years ago, I think it was launched, and it turned out to be a big flop. And then the second one was a big flop too. So, yeah. What's your overhyped paddle?
I don't know. It's probably not going to be popular, John, but I'm going to say the Yola.
Okay.
I think what we're seeing is a really good paddle for the price. I don't think it's there. I think they rely a lot on their marketing and on their professional athlete backing. But if this were a paddle from really any other company, I don't think it would fly.
Yeah.
It's a good paddle.
Yeah.
I could use it, but
I think that's the general consensus among most paddle enthusiasts. We will see if the general market isn't as open to the Pro 5 as it was to the Pro 4. The Pro 4s were everywhere, and I imagine the Pro 5 is doing well too. But I haven't really seen like widespread adoption in our circles among the non-initiated. You know what I mean? Like your casual players. I don't think I've seen a single Pro 5 at all in the wild.
yeah. If they stripped the branding off and slapped Gamma on there, would it sell?
Right.
I don't think it
We'll
would.
see. I mean, Vulcan just signed Nick Kyrgios, and I was thinking that was going to be way overhyped, but it actually performs pretty well. Yeah, very well. So that can't be my answer. All right, so 14 millimeter or 16 millimeter?
Generally 16. I think the technology lately has given a lot of bounce to the 14 and really kind of bumped it up where it's, depending on what the paddle is, it can be very effective. But for me, the 16.
Yeah, I always prefer the feel of a 16 over a 14. I've played some 14s that I'm like, yeah, I can play with this. It's good. But I've yet to be like, I prefer this over the 16 millimeter variant.
But nothing beats a 20.
Let's go 22.
Why
The old
not?
warrior.
John, you could pick worst or best.
Okay.
What's the best day you've had as a pickleball reviewer?
Best what? Paddle?
Just day.
Best
a day you could think back and man, that was awesome. That test came together or
Oh, I love this.
or worst day.
Let's do best and worst.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's kind of coming together now. Like each day is getting more and more interesting for me as we're developing new tests here in the lab, and I'm seeing like fleshing out some meaningful data and answering some questions. So I couldn't really boil it down to one day, but I will say the combination of the ball cannon and the high-speed camera is like, that is magical. It's just like there is so much information to be learned from this. So when I got the high-speed camera and I was using it in conjunction with the ball cannon, and all these ideas started coming in, like what can we test here? And wow, just seeing this high-speed footage, that was amazing. Worst day, when that damn camera broke again twice, and now it's not working again. I don't know if it's just because the battery's dead or what, but that was my worst day. How about you?
So many good days, John. I love it when the videos come out and the comments come in and they're just generally positive. I love getting that feedback. It's awesome. Yeah. So not any one particular day, but that feeling of you're actually like reaching somebody. Mm-hmm. It's really a good feeling.
And on that note, whenever I go to tournaments or somewhere in public and people come up and like, hey, watch your stuff. And I think one of the most meaningful moments, I'll put this above the ball cannon and the high-speed camera. When I was in Dallas last year for the Texas Open, the one that was super windy this year, I was there last year and some guy came up to me and said, John, just want to say, watch all your podcasts. And he's like, I was diagnosed with cancer last year, and your podcast got me through it.
Holy cow!
So I was like,
holy cow!
So he watched like I don't know, a whole year, and he just got onto it, and he watched like a whole year of our podcasts, and we kept him entertained, and he learned a lot about paddles. So at that point, I was feeling bad because I like performed poorly in the tournament. I was feeling bad about myself, and at that point, I was like, man, I have such a amazing life that I'm actually making a difference, and people are letting me know about it. So I love it when people come up and say hi and
that's
give
pretty awesome.
me some feedback. So yeah.
My worst day though, that thing that Chris was talking about with the lobs, that was in Texas, right? For the Adidas event.
Was that Texas?
Yeah. And on day one,
it was Austin.
The reps are talking about their paddle. You all are gathered around, and I roll in about 20 minutes late because I was having a massive, I was feverish that day. I had diarrhea that day, and things were just falling apart, and I could barely move, much less attend the event. But
that was our creator battle too, right?
Yeah,
that was the only time I ever beat you in singles.
Smoked me every serve. I couldn't even see straight.
That's the only time I beat you in singles.
All credit to you, John. You have an amazing serve, but normally I can at least get a paddle on the ball.
For sure. For sure. That's hilarious. Okay. EPP or MPP?
Oh, I do like the MPP. There's something about the hollowness, but the stiffness that you get with that particular combination. Yeah. The Luz and some offerings since then.
New turbo.
Yeah, so good.
Speed up.
So good. I love that question though, John.
Yeah, no, I think MPP is becoming my favorite too. And there's some quality of MPP that doesn't quite, my field chart doesn't quite capture. Sure, there's stiff and hollow versus dense and stiff and soft versus dense and hollow. But there's a subtle quality of MPP that none of those categories necessarily captured. It's like a crispness and connectedness to the ball that I can't really verbalize or capture.
I have a hard time with the feel wheel.
Yeah, because of that reason. Okay, yeah same. Because they're mostly stiff and hollow, but there's a subtle quality difference compared to EPP that I just love about MPP. And I don't think it's the same way for everybody. I think like Justin from Pickleball, et cetera, doesn't like MPP for that reason. He much prefers kind of a denser feel, right?
Okay.
So it's a subjective preferential thing, but yeah, I'm much more a fan of MPP these days. However, I will say that of the disbonding incidents we've seen in full foam paddles, I think the trend I'm seeing is that it happens more often with MPP.
Oh.
So there might be like more off-gassing because of the...
I've not seen that.
The chemical nature of the way those bubbles, micro bubbles are formed. So just something to keep an eye on moving forward. If perhaps MPP cores might have more of an issue with disbonding.
Keep going?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
I love these. What's a non-paddle related item you can't play without?
Besides like perimeter weighting, clearly. And by the way, those clip-on weights are just such a fantastic addition. I think it's mostly for like us paddle reviewers who are constantly switching between paddles, but the ability to just clip one off of one.
Oh my gosh!
Stick it
I'll
on
move
another.
mine like 1/8 of an inch between shots just to fine tune it there.
Right. But I would say the most important thing to me, like performance-wise, is going to be my Blue Maca insoles. Yeah. And this is not a advertisement for them. It's just like I love those insoles, and they allow me to play without my feet sliding around in my shoes, my toes getting crammed in. And what made me realize how great they are is that my wife, Michelle, and I went for a week in Nashville 2 weeks ago, last week.
Last week, yeah.
And I brought only one pair of shoes to play in, and they were these that I'm wearing now. So these are Babolat's, but inside I have like some cheap insoles I bought from Amazon for like $10. They're comfortable, they're soft and squishy, but my feet slide around in them. And there were several points where I went to like, not necessarily slide, but hard stop, to take a middle center ball, and my toes just crammed. That hurt so bad. Like I was in pain. And it just made me realize that I used to suffer with that pain all the time, just think it was normal. But the Blue Muck insoles have fixed all that. So yeah, that's my one thing. How about you, Eddie?
I do love those pickle clips. They're pretty much on every paddle I play with now. They're amazing. But nowadays, I feel naked without wearing glasses of some kind. And my go-to these days is the Rudy Project still.
Yeah.
Those cut lines, they just cover my face in such a way where I can't see them at all.
Yeah.
And that's just...
You were very generous and you let me borrow those for like a month or two. And I'm very sad not to have those anymore. So I need to order them again. So I need to reach out to them.
All right.
All right. So one paddle only for the rest of the year. Which is it?
For the rest of the year, the J6 CR durable
Blue grit.
Yeah,
okay.
grit, which I don't even have yet. But just making some assumptions.
Right.
The J6 CR is amazing.
Yeah, you love that paddle. Yeah. And with that durable grit, if it proves to be as durable as it seems.
If it doesn't affect playability.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I haven't tested that. I've only tested with the ball cannon. I haven't actually hit that new paddle yet. For me, man, I'm
Sticking with the boomstick?
I'm right on the fence between the boomstick and the 11624 Hirachi X Power 2, right?
Okay.
And some days I'm on with one paddle and off with the other and vice versa. So if I had to choose one, if I'm predicting what I'm meaning by the end of the year, I could be totally wrong, but I'm going to choose the Hirachi. Not that nothing against the boomstick besides the durability issues. Like I've had to send it back a couple times for loose edge guards and cracking and all that stuff, but we'll see. The one thing that I like more about the boomstick, for sure, is even though it's super powerful, it's a more linear response. And I have issues with fiberglass and paddles, and that CFC layup in the 11624. Sometimes I feel it. I hit a ball and dead center or whatever I'm doing to hit the ball, and it goes a couple feet longer than I would have expected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great question. I love it. Here we go, John. Maybe you don't have an answer for this. There might not be an answer for this. What's your number to stop all this pickleball business? To give it up.
How much for the day to pay me?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd have to be a ton. Like, when you say give it up, like, would I actually have
No
to?
pickleball ever.
I would never be able to play
No playing.
I would never be able to shoot a ball cannon.
No.
There's no money.
You're done. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. There's no amount of money.
I mean, honestly, God, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know. It'd have to be like $100 million at the base.
Oh, that's
right?
a big number.
That's a big number.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, like generational money.
Okay.
Where it wouldn't just be about me, it'd be about my kids and their kids, And at that point, it'd be selfish for me not to take
My
the
number's
money.
a lot lower.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's yours?
5,000.
Done.
I'm thinking a couple million,
Okay.
and I would give it up.
All right.
Take up, I don't know, touch tennis, padel.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But I would miss pickleball so
man.
much.
Yeah.
Not the testing and all that, but the community.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Good question. Boy, that's a head scratcher. All right. Most annoying paddle trend.
Most annoying paddle trend. Over-branding.
I like it. That's good.
And I like things a little on the plain side, somewhat nondescript.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have my game be the focus and not like what's on my paddle.
Mm-hmm.
And too much branding is really off-putting to me.
Yeah. Gotcha. I got a couple.
Okay. Buckle in, folks.
Titanium threads. Sorry, but not for me. I don't like sparkly on the paddle face. Throat holes. That's clearly an annoying one. It's not a trend anymore. I feel like that's going away. But as soon as I see a paddle with that throat hole, I mean, yeah.
That thing's you could get a ball through there.
Yeah, just give me a break with that. I've got some others, but we'll end it there.
All right.
Well, stop that question there. Right, we have some more questions.
Yes. All right, John. You're stranded on a deserted island, and you can only have one other paddle reviewer with you.
Oh, no.
Who do you pick?
Oh, no. I guess this is better than like your top three, because then that the fourth person you left out would feel really flipping bad.
Right.
I mean, since Chris Olson sent the nice video and we have become good friends, it'd obviously be Chris.
Based on your friendship or based on some quality that he brings to your survivability on this island? Or that he's cute?
He does tend to always be in possession of muffins. So I figured if I'm on a deserted island, he would have a never-ending supply of muffins.
Giant Yeti cooler.
Yes, and we would survive.
All right, Chris, there you go.
Pack your carbohydrates alone. All right, how about you? Besides me, take me out. Because clearly I'm your first choice, but...
I was thinking pickleball tech dude because he's so chill.
All right. Ralph is a good guy.
Yeah. Justin,
yeah.
I think would bring a lot to the experience and just breaking things down. And
Justin would be like a survival expert.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Exactly. So, yeah, maybe some more for the two of them.
I like it. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. This next one I already know the answer to, so I'll skip to my last one. Will $300 paddles still exist in 3 years from now?
Probably. I don't think they'll be in the mainstream whatsoever. I think the push is actually towards less money versus more. But there'll still be Selkirk $300 paddles, probably Yola paddles at $300.
Okay.
Who knows what we'll see. We may see car companies coming into this marketplace or computer companies. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, yeah, they'll be there.
Yeah.
They won't be worth $300, though. I can guarantee you that.
That's the thing. Like, I think I'll take the opposing view here, Eddie, and assuming that we do hit peak paddle technology within 3 years, and then everything kind of levels out, and there's a durability side to things. The paddles can be extremely durable. Unless somebody has like a patent locked down tight on that durability aspect, and nobody else can do it, then that person can clearly charge $300 plus for a paddle. But I don't think it's going to be the case. I think everybody's going to have access to it, and everything's going to be leveled down to a more reasonable cost. And yeah, I think we're looking at like standard, like top tier paddles in 3 years from now, if all those conditions are met, at $200. So I think it's going to be below $300.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Was that my question or yours?
We'll come back in episode 200 and revisit that one and see what our predictions are.
I got one more question for you, John.
Let's hear it.
And this one's just for you. Money, it's back to money again. Money, no object. What's the one thing you'd add to your laboratory?
Ooh. I mean, I got the one thing. Oh, man. I mean, I'm debating right now between a CT scanner and the performance cannon from ADC.
Wow.
Right?
What are we talking about here?
I mean, the CT scanner is going to be way more expensive. The Canon performance cannon is $150,000, which I just can't justify. Not that I have the money anyway, but if I even did, I couldn't justify that. But I'm pretty sure a CT scanner is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I think the ball cannon is probably going to be more useful in the long run, and eventually this 600-pound chunk of steel I have in the basement will die, and I'll need a new one. So I'm going to go the performance cannon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you can use part of that $100 million to not use it.
Yeah, right. Just let it sit there.
Yep.
All right, that was a fun segment.
Yes.
It took a good chunk of time, too.
Love it.
But hey, where we're going. We're going for 2 hours at least on this pod. All right, then versus now. Next segment here, Eddie. So we're going to reflect on how we used to think about things versus now, how our thinking has changed on things such as, first bullet point is spend versus dwell versus pocketing. I think we kind of got into this. We don't need to spend too much time on this, but one of my questions I didn't ask you in rapid fire was, and you kind of answered this when I asked you, is dwell time a myth? Is that even if it is a myth, even if it's not a physical property of a paddle, is it still important? And I think we both agree that our perception of dwell time is important because it's a factor of how we perceive feel of a paddle. And if you like the way that paddle feels, in other words, you feel like it has good dwell time and you appreciate that, then yeah, it's valuable.
I think people are maybe led to believe that whatever we're talking about is imaginary. And I'm saying that whatever it is we're calling dwell time is an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe it's not, the amount of time the ball spends on the face, but there's something there that we are calling dwell time that is something we can feel and detect.
So you're saying even if it's not the physical properties of the amount of time the ball stays on the face, there's still a measurable empirical quality of dwell time that we haven't figured out yet.
Something there that we are calling dwell time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it is, right? If you're perceiving it, there's got to be something there. It could be vibration, frequencies, something
could be
not related to actual dwell time.
Right.
But yeah, there's some kind of measurable component there. But yeah, so bringing in spin here, back to kind of this whole conundrum that we're starting to figure out here. Does dwell time enhance spin? No, not necessarily. The longer the ball stays on the paddle, we're only talking about, again, half a millisecond longer or sooner the ball comes off. As far as I can tell, that plays a very, very minimal role in RPM generation. What plays the most role is the actual surface texture, like the aggressiveness of texture or the friction, coefficient of friction of the paddle. So like the nanotack surfaces from Proton generate a ton of spin, not through grit, but because it's sticky, right? It's catching the ball. So, so the kind of the brain teaser here is the less time the ball stays on the paddle, the more spin it generates when you're slicing up, when you're putting topspin on the ball or slicing down on the ball, because a ball that slides across the paddle face stays on the paddle face longer. That's technically more dwell time, and that is decreasing spin. So it's the opposite of what most people think, right? So that's kind of a myth busted. I feel like that we're pretty positive about that.
The myth is that the two are tied together.
That more dwell time equals more spin.
Gotcha,
And I think it's the opposite, right?
Okay.
And pocketing is another term that I think most people are thinking of when they think about dwell time. And pocketing is like literally how far the ball sinks into the face of the paddle, which is again like on the order of like microns, right? It's small, but you can see it in high-speed imagery. And that is more important for performance, and it's doing the things I feel like that people associate with the term dwell time. Pocketing is actually doing those things. So yes, when the paddle pockets the ball, it's going to shoot it off more, right? Shoot off faster, I should say. And the rebound potential is greater with a ball off a paddle that pockets it more. So the ones we're seeing that get the highest PB core, highest Q core, highest PEF, typically tend to pocket like a trampoline effect or a diving board effect. They pocket the ball a little more and spring it off a little faster. So
makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And there's certainly elements of the ball that factor into that equation.
100%.
Even more so than the paddle construction.
Yeah. PB core does not mean pickleball. Coefficient of restitution, it means paddle ball. So it's the physics of both the paddle and the ball together, right? So they're both very important in that collision. All right, launch angle. Let's talk about that.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's another thing that we kind of figured out with the high-speed camera and the ball cannon, right? So it turns out, we're all kind of, the reviewers at least, we're talking about launch angle last year, and we're noticing some paddles launch the ball higher, and others lower. Everybody feels this on the court, and you switch paddles, and suddenly your balls are going in the bottom of the net, or they're flying 4 feet over the net and landing 6 feet out, right? And you naturally kind of adjust the angle that you're hitting the ball on the fly as you're doing that. But we didn't really quite know what in the world that was a result of. We kind of thought maybe thinness or thickness of the paddle played into that, and dwell time.
Dwell time.
Yeah. But it turns out that the launch angle is almost entirely or predominantly related to RPM generation. And that ties in with dwell time, but not in the way that we think. Because again, that's counterintuitive. So a high spinning paddle, when you're brushing up on the ball and hitting top spin, it's going to launch much higher if you're getting high RPM than a low RPM paddle. So think about it this way. Imagine you took this wooden paddle, this vintage wooden paddle, took off the pickle skin, obviously, because that thing rips spin no matter what it's on, right? And it's getting like 1,000 RPM. What do you think is going to happen to the ball when you try to? You saw this happen at that vintage tournament where they're all the pros were using that wooden paddles. They were all trying to brush up on the ball with their top spin. It was going into the bottom of the net because you brush up, the ball slides across the paddle face, and it just launches down much lower. So that's a low launch angle associated with low spin. You put that pickle skin onto the paddle, and it's going to launch the ball much higher where it's associated with dwell time is. The least dwell time on the paddle gets more spin. So this is counterintuitive because you think, dwell time is going to enhance the spin. It's going to launch it higher. And it's the opposite. Dwell time is going to result in the ball sliding across the paddle face longer, and it's going to launch the ball lower then.
Man, John, for the longest time, I thought this was all in my head. In fact, I think there were even some comments early on when we started talking about launch angle where people were like, no, it's just your technique or some other variability within your swing. But man, we know it because we hit 10 paddles a day and we see the differences, right? So, but man, for the longest time, I was like, I'm going crazy.
Well, the commenters were like going crazy too. They're like, what in the world does, like, I understand the concept, but what's causing it, right? And I was always at a loss of words. I'm like, maybe thin paddles get lower launch angles, but it wasn't the thinness or thickness. It was almost entirely the spin. We're going to find out more stuff as we keep looking into this, but that is the primary culprit right now for launch angle. All right. How have our views changed, Eddie, on elongated versus hybrid versus wide body paddles? Let's go through our paddle journey together and go back to when we started, what kind of shapes we were playing with, and what the trends we've played with in terms of the paddle shapes.
Wow. I think throughout the course I've switched back and forth.
Yeah.
I've not really trended in any one direction. And it's really about paddle performance and that kind of thing. So I'm not sold on any particular shape and never have been.
Yeah.
Personally, I think a wide body looks better, as do hybrids versus elongated. But elongated paddles these days are so good. I mean, the sweet spots are there. The twist weights are up. So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't really have like a progression of I've gone from this to this and here's why.
Yeah. Well, I definitely had a trend. So when I started playing pickleball, I got like that Monarch, whatever that dragon Monarch paddle you get at Dick's was, right? And that one is like a standard shape paddle, wide body.
Yeah.
And got tired of that, and I was looking for like a good pro paddle to hit with after that, and I feel like it was Ben John's Franklin Pro Series, which is elongated. And I thought elongated was the way to go. Coming from tennis background, I was like, I want a longer, more reach, and I like the look of elongated paddles. I still think they're more aesthetically pleasing to me than hybrids or wide bodies. It's funny, it's such a personal, subjective thing. But so I went standard to elongated, and I played with elongated for years. I did that hyper elongated one from Apes.
The S?
No.
The
Energy. Pro Energy something, right? Which is...
E. The E, right?
Yeah. And well, it eventually became the E. I think the E is now standard elongated, but it was longer than 16.5 and narrower than 7.5, right? Played with that for a good while. And then when I started reviewing paddles, this was even after I started reviewing paddles, then I started realizing the benefits of wide bodies. And at that time, the wide bodies, there was no like real offensive options in the wide body category. It was all like really control-oriented paddles. And even the Volair Mach 2 Forza, that was the first of its kind to have a longer handle so you can get more leverage. And even though that's still a very control-oriented paddle, it was more offensive than other options at the time. And the spin was great and all that. So that paddle, I think, introduced me to the benefits of wide body. And I eventually went to hybrid and then to wide body and then back to hybrid. I was playing with the Vapor Power 2 as my main last year for half the year. And now I'm back to elongated. And I don't think it's, the elongated doesn't have any, objective, it's not objectively better for everybody. But what I noticed in my game is that my friends and opponents across the court were like, man, when you pick up that elongated paddle, I was playing with the boomstick, the wide body and the elongated. They're like, Those balls are coming at me a lot faster with the elongated. Like you're much more of a menace with the elongated than you are at the wide body. And I think, it just matches my particular game style right now. Not to say I'm not going to go back to hybrid or wide body, but yeah, I've kind of gone full circle a couple times.
So would you say, John, if you're looking at just the silhouette of a paddle, that you would look at a boomstick elongated and say, yeah, that's like the ultimate shape?
Just a silhouette?
Yeah.
I don't mind it's a good looking paddle. It's a good looking silhouette.
Okay.
But that's an interesting experiment. I feel like we should create a poll and just have silhouettes. I mean, maybe something like this, the carbon, was it the 3 shape or the Magnus and the Proton Series 3 with the shorter handle elongated? Maybe I'm just pulling one out of the blue here. I don't like the look of those when I'm looking at the paddle, but maybe the silhouette of that paddle would be more aesthetically pleasing than others. For wide bodies, I feel like they hit the nail on the head with the hurricane shape from Pickle and several others. Neonic makes one.
Right.
And that
speed up behind you in the wide body is close to that. It looks really good.
That's my favorite of the
I
wide
do
body
like
shapes.
that J6 shape and that Gherkin Draco shape, or that kind of flattened out top with the cutoff corners is really.
I missed
doing
my
it for
opportunity
me.
for a joke on the J4. Like, this is not back there anymore. The big square.
It's okay. You can make up
Frying
for it
pan.
with a nice jerkin joke.
That's right. Okay. Where are we at here?
Metalbone.
Yeah, so this is circling back to what we talked
How much
about.
Metalbone content are we going to put in this 100th episode?
Hey, they're not paying me, surprisingly. The original Adidas Metalbone was full foam, so why didn't we understand this was the future at that time? Again, this was 3 years ago, right? So very innovative. What do you think? Do you remember that one? Did you ever hit that?
I hit it and it was crap.
Yeah, it was total
It was
garbage.
very harsh,
Sorry, Adidas.
very thin feeling.
The good people at Adidas and whoever it wasn't actually Adidas. It was another company that was making paddles for Adidas. Good
And
people.
let's
in
put
that.
the weight like right at the top of the handle.
Yeah, the
right?
weight was poorly conceived, but I feel like the monocoque construction, I feel like has potential. The full foam obviously has potential. Monocoque is basically thermoforming, and there's other elements to the paddle which should have, in theory, come together for a really good paddle. It just didn't play well. Now the foam in the core is not something that's currently being used. It was PMI foam. It's some kind of crazy long name, but no need to say it here on the podcast. But it is a very rigid and stiff foam. I mean, do you remember how those honeycomb aramid cores felt? Just like pingy, just like hitting an anvil, right?
Right.
There was the vibrations
feel.
were bad, the sound was bad, the feel was bad. There was no control. That's what that felt like. And I remember. That's right. That's one of the first times I met Chris Olson, and we were walking around Worlds together in Dallas, and Adidas told him to come by their booth because they wanted to give him a paddle to review. At that time, I was just some scrub, they didn't even know me, and we walked up, and I was like, hey, I review paddles too. They're like, yeah, whatever. And I grabbed one and just bounced the ball on it, and I was like, oh man, Chris, this feels like aramid, and he had the same conclusion on his review a couple weeks later, but yeah, it just didn't feel good. But if they had used, I don't know, EPP or MPP foam and put an edge guard on that sucker, took out the neck hole, moved the weights, basically redesigned the whole paddle, that would have been a good paddle.
The first one I ever remember seeing that sold me on the future of foam, John, was we were on the roof of Lifetime, I think. And you brought out the first rhombus prototype. It was an edgeless foam paddle. I don't know if you even remember this.
Yeah.
But that thing was a freaking rocket ship. It wasn't approved.
Yeah.
But proof of concept, man. That thing put it on the map for me.
Yeah. That was their EVA, full EVA foam. And I remember you were digging that. That thing even got crap spin too. Like it was like a slick surface. But
It was like a vinyl surface. Kind of weird.
Yeah, and then he came out with one with a raw carbon fiber surface, and I remember I was just ripping like tennis drives with that thing. That was so much fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next one. You can't have good power and good forgiveness in the same paddle. Is this still true?
No. And I think that's the game changer for this year in the ever escalating power war of pickleball from previous years. There's no more room for power. And so I think that technology and R&D has really focused on bringing forgiveness to the power game. And I'll just talk about the J6 again. I mean, there's a perfect example of not top-tier power, middle-tier power, but there's plenty there.
Yeah.
And it would have been a top-tier power paddle 18 months ago, but the control of that paddle and what you can do with resets with that paddle, that's just an example of paddles in general nowadays. Just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if this would have said you can't have max power and max forgiveness, I would have agreed with it. But good power and good forgiveness is there right now.
Yeah.
It wasn't there a year ago or 2 years ago, right? And like, remember the most powerful paddle 2 years ago was the Gearbox Pro Power Elongated, right? Or that whole Pro Power series. It had
No forgiveness.
more power than we have today, but the sweet spot was the size of a golf ball, and there was just like zero forgiveness, right? And so that was what you had to suffer with. There was a big trade-off then, and not saying that it was a bad paddle at the time. It was a good paddle at the time, and they've since reintroduced paddles, Gearbox has, that are both powerful and forgiving. The GX2 Power line is a good example. But you had to make that massive trade-off last year even, and now there's a much narrower delta between those two sides of the spectrum, control and power. So, yeah, I think that delta will continue getting smaller. I don't think it's ever going to close entirely. You're never going to have max power and control in the same paddle. But yeah, I think we've got some more R&D and some more invention to get us to even better paddles in the future.
Yeah, that Gearbox is a good example of non-linear power in the way that it produces it and the way it executes power.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the game changer that we've seen this year is we see a lot more linear power delivery, predictable, intuitive power delivery versus that explosiveness that just falls off so steeply from the sweet spot.
Right. I remember playing a few games with you with that Pro Power, the Gearbox Pro Power, and it's just like I was going full bore on my serves, and like 4 would go in, and then the 5th one would go hit the back wall. You know, it's just like I accidentally hit the dead center of that sweet spot. And
in Lifetime, you hit it too far, and you hit some of the kids coming out of daycare.
It almost happened with me before. Yeah, that's right. Or you're hitting the guys bench pressing or squatting.
Right.
All right. That was the last one in that segment. All right, Eddie. Let's humble ourselves here.
Okay.
Let's look back at what we got wrong in the past.
I think the show's over.
All right. What I did here is we're going to look at not just what we got wrong, but what we got right.
Okay.
I went back and I don't know what kind of notes you put in. I'd love to hear your opinion on this too. But I went back all the way to QCast 28.
All right. Was that a prediction show?
That was our prediction show, September of 2024.
Okay.
And in that show, we one of our segments was let's predict where the state of paddles is going in the future.
Are we going to be embarrassed?
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. So I just watched that whole segment again. It was very fun to watch. Maybe I'll link to it in the description on this one. But I'll go one by one. So one of my predictions, USAP will cap PB Core. And by the way, I'm just going in order here. This is not like me trying to learn lessons.
Fine, John, you're so smart.
right. So USAP will cap PB Core at the rhombus ripple. But that one's wrong.
No. Okay.
Right. So I'm glad I started off with the false.
All right.
Yeah. So this was back before PB Core was finalized, but we were hearing rumors that the USAP was going to institute PB Core, right? And the rhombus ripple was approved, and this was before it was unapproved, before it was sunset, right? So at that time, I was like, all right, we've got that was after the Yola Gen 3s were banned, right? So I knew that was over the top power. The mod TA15 followed that, and so those were out of the realm of legal power. And the rhombus ripple was just released, and that was, I think, like right when it was released, before we started realizing that it was breaking in and getting more and more powerful, right? So I was like, all right, so it was passed. Maybe they've already done their PB Core test on this paddle, and they're like, that's the paddle to cap PB Core. Turns out not. So wrong on that one.
Well, you were right until the latter half of that sentence.
We need the Price is Right buzzer. All right, Eddie, your first prediction. There will be fewer paddle companies in general. So 2020, this is 2024. I think there were like a few hundred paddle companies on the USAP list.
Yeah.
And you're saying that this can't keep going on forever. And I think you're right. Looking at last year's USAP approved paddle list, the number of paddles reduced and the number of companies was also reduced. So
Okay.
chalk one up for Eddie.
1-0.
1-0. My next prediction: wide body paddles will become more widely accepted because they're becoming more powerful. So I was just giving kind of the example, like I just talked about, right, where the wide body paddles of yore were just kind of super control oriented. You didn't have any offensive options with those.
The Valère comes to mind.
Yeah, but like I said, like that was the first one where you could actually generate a little bit of offense because of the leverage you get with the longer handle. But then, now we've reached parity in terms of the power levels between wide body and elongated. And yeah, that was true.
Good call.
Eddie, your next one was more extreme adjustability in weight setups. So things like OEM weight adjustments built into the paddles.
Still don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet.
Can't think of a paddle that has any kind of adjustability in the weight.
I mean, the Adidas, the Metalbone. Keep coming back to the Metalbone.
What was the one that had those sort of rubberized inserts in the throat? Was that Gamma?
Yeah, it's Gamma.
The Airbender?
And now it's out of business.
No, it's not. And that wasn't really a weight distribution thing.
Yeah, I don't think they've done it quite right yet. I feel like if there were like a Selkirk MOI weights that could slide up and down the sides of the paddle and were legal. Not that paddle companies haven't thought of this yet. It's just that the regulatory agencies haven't allowed it yet. I don't think UPAA will ever allow that. USAP may. I think that's probably the reason why we haven't seen it yet. But yeah, I think that would be a big hit. I would love a paddle that you could slide a 3 gram weight up and down the side.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We do that all the time anyway.
We do. My next prediction was internal weighting will become more common. So you mentioned external weighting, OEM stuff. So I thought that internal weighting, putting weights inside the paddle will become more common. A variant of that prediction was that head heavy and head light options will be available in the same model. Clearly that did not happen. Like the Bread and Butter Loco does not have a head heavy and a headlight option, right? And I don't know if
outside of paddle shape.
Right. So that's a balance point issue. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, to be honest, because it's such a subtle thing. Maybe it will, but regardless, that second variant was not true. But I feel like the first one is definitely
100%.
true. Yeah, a lot of people are putting lead, or the most common is just like a bundle of raw carbon fiber, unidirectional pre-preg strips here and there.
Or foam density.
Foam density is another one. Yep. So I think that one definitely came true. Your next one, core innovation will become prevalent. So more foam, carbon fiber strips, and moving away from honeycomb. Nailed it.
I mean, that may have been a handwriting on the wall kind of thing. Right. I cheaped out on that one. Although, when was this?
2024.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that obvious in 2024.
I also called for the end of honeycomb earlier this year, but that hasn't happened yet either.
That's
stupid Yola.
My next prediction. More foam in the future paddles from 2024, and more hybridization of different materials in the core.
Bam.
Yeah, that was pretty true.
Got it.
I got into some weeds there, talking about influence from board sports like snowboarding and skateboarding. I don't know if that actually has been much of an influence, but I still think it will be. This one I think I got wrong. More use of triaxial weaves with using different fibers on the face layup. I feel like we've experimented with Kevlar. We've experimented with, God forbid, the titanium threads. We experimented with a couple other, clearly raw carbon or carbon fiber is, that's what we're going to be using on paddles probably from here to eternity, maybe with a little bit of fiberglass here and there, but and some niche Kevlar is still around, but I feel like titanium's gone. Who knows? We might see some different weaves come into existence.
You don't think there'll ever be another surface?
Oh yeah, I think there will definitely be more surfaces, but will it outlive and overpower carbon fiber? We'll see.
Some graphene, which I guess is kind of a carbon.
Yeah. What do you think? You think
I hate
carbon
to say
fiber will be?
I hate to say anything that we see today will persist into perpetuity.
Yeah. True. All right.
We're doing pretty good, John.
Yeah.
I'd say 3 out of 4.
Yeah. I'd say we're getting more right than we did wrong. Another prediction of mine was that direct spin testing will allow innovation in texture and durability. That seems to have...
Kabam.
Yep. That seems to have played out. Your next prediction was quiet paddles will have a big market.
Meh.
Not so much on that. You know what? I agreed with you at the time. I was watching that. I was like, yeah, it made sense at the time. But what happened was, like, the first quiet paddle was the Owl. Was that the first quiet approved paddle?
The first sort of widely available.
Yeah. And that one is still kind of niche, but you see people like using them in tournaments because they rip spin. They shouldn't be legal, period. Like they get like 2,900 for real on the court, not the ball cannon, 2,900 RPM. It's just ridiculous. But what we realized with like the first gearbox quiet approved paddle, that GX, not the GX2 Power, but the GX2, it's not a good feeling not to be able to get that auditory feedback from the paddle, right? It's hard to judge your touch shots versus your power shots and everything in between when you're not getting that auditory signal. And it's frustrating as hell being on the other side of the court with somebody using a quiet paddle because you don't know how fast that ball is coming off from the sound alone. Right. You know what I mean? So I think that's what has hindered the widespread adoption of quiet paddles. But who knows? Maybe they'll have a comeback this year.
I haven't heard a lot in the news about neighborhoods and their use of quiet balls or paddles.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore.
You know, I think part of this is the trend also for indoor facilities.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Really
I mean, you look
point.
at like Superior, Louisville area, Relish is there with 22 courts or 20 indoor courts, and that's taken away a lot of the reason to have outdoor courts in that whole region. So
And I think city planners are getting better about outdoor court placement.
Yeah, for sure.
With this experience.
For sure. All right. One of my next predictions was the handles will improve. Oh, this is back during the
Squishy
all
handle
EVA
days.
squishy foam handles, except Speed Up, which by coincidence I just did a review of their Tide series paddles. Speed Up was the first fully molded handle, fully molded PU handle, way back like 4 years ago. And I remember I reviewed. They had a couple of budget paddles like the
news to
Ice
me.
and the Fire, right? And the owner of Speed Up is a pro tennis player, and he wanted a good handle. And tennis rackets have amazing handles, and he adopted that technology for pickleball paddles. And I remember at the time, like I put it in my end of year list for 2023 as the budget paddle of the year, or one of the alternates for that. And I was like, why doesn't everybody make the handles like this? And I'm not saying that there's no room for soft pallets. Not the super soft, super squishy ones, but there can be like a firm EVA. I can see the need for that because it can reduce vibration. There might be a preferential thing, a subjective. I like the feel of these better. But, you know, I feel like these days it is irresponsible for a manufacturer to produce a paddle that has not a standardized handle between their 14 and their 16 millimeter versions. In other words, carrying the core down into the handle.
That makes no sense to me.
No. I mean, yes, you can carry the core down in the handle if you manipulate your handle in a way that's intentional. And if you want a thick handle, fine, leave it thick. But standardize your 14 and your 16 in the same model. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. So I think that one came true. We're getting there, but not quite.
I don't want to go back.
I don't want to go back. That's for sure. All right. I think that is all of our predictions. I feel like it was a net positive. We weren't too far off.
I feel like I made a prediction about like technology being incorporated into paddles.
Oh, you did? Where
Like
is that?
swing path analysis,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Here's your last one.
And we've not seen that yet.
Incorporation of smart technology built into paddle and apps. The apps, 100%.
Yeah.
We now have PD
Cameras.
vision.
Yep.
PB Vision and those, which are amazing. We're tied, Eddie.
Well, I'm going to have to give you a negative point for this next one, John. I believe you said that the bird was going to take over all of pickleball, that ergo paddles were the future. Is that what, did I read that right?
Do you remember we had such a good time that was at
So
Lifetime
fun.
also?
Yeah, with Esteban.
Yeah.
So,
You were just like, there's no, if you speed up at somebody's chest and they're holding that bird paddle, it's gone. It's gone. But you try to put away an overhead with that bird paddle, it was just like.
I put so much energy into overhead.
Around your shoulder. And it's going like 10 miles an hour.
There's some other ergo paddle company now, isn't there?
Oh, there was before too. I think Bird was the second one.
Oh, was
There's
it?
another
Okay.
one that was before them, and it had the same kind of shotgun looking one.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. We're almost done with the podcast, Eddie. We're 2 hours in at least.
I don't think we
right?
can do Q&A today.
No, probably not. But let's give each of our opinions on the top 5 metrics that actually matter. Only 5 metrics. Swing
not
weight,
sure
twist
I could
weight,
come up with 5.
etc. No, I got 5.
I mean, swing weight and twist weight have got to be like number 1 and 2.
I mean, any kind of performance metric, RPM,
PB core.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Anything. All right. What like number them consecutively? Most important to.
Most important?
Yeah.
PB core.
Okay. So the power level of
Yeah.
the paddle. Okay.
Yep, however you define it.
Okay.
The Q core.
Yeah.
That's my number 1.
Okay.
Swing weight, we'll put at number 2.
Over twist weight.
Slightly over twist weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Twist weight comes in and edges out number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others? Spin.
Spin has got to be up there.
Okay.
Maybe I'll keep that at number 4.
All right. I like it. All right. Any others? Get a 5th.
Physical dimensions, length and width.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be more important than
It might,
some of the others.
might be
right?
number 1.
Yeah, because that dictates swing weight and twist weight, right? Also,
Yeah.
in a big way. All right.
Not static weight, though. That's not on my list. Balance point, for me, it's too. The cause and effect isn't there for me.
Okay. I really wanted to put static weight into this just because we've been preaching for so long that it's a lesser metric, but I could not fit it into my top 5.
Yeah.
So my top 5 are number 1, RPM.
Spin.
Spin. Yeah. I feel like spin is still my number 1 thing about a paddle. Now, clearly, with a grain of salt, if the paddle has a sweet spot the size of a dime, but amazing spin, and everything else sucks about the paddle, I'm not going to play with that paddle. But considering all things, I feel like RPM is still at the top.
Interesting. I'm a little surprised at that, John.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, just for me, like my steady mate for a long time was the coral, and it probably still is.
Yeah.
Like in my top 2. The spin of that is mediocre.
It's not bad.
Average.
I got 2,200 or 21 something.
For
maybe
me, it's
2,800.
probably not that high. I mean, anecdotally, I would call it 1,800, which is not great.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Where I'm coming from on this RPM spin is that if I had an amazing paddle, elite firepower, elite swing, elite sweet spot,
Yeah.
if it got 1,000 RPM spin, this firepower is detrimental at that point.
True, but
I
no
can't-
paddle has 1,000.
Some of them do. The wooden paddle.
That's not a lead anything.
It was just an example, right? Like without a certain level of spin, and for me, it's
True.
2,000 RPM.
I'd love that.
To be real,
Yeah.
If I had a 1,900 RPM spinning paddle with the way I spin with my arm, not with the ball cannon, and I had an amazing sweet spot and great firepower, it would be I couldn't use it. I would not be happy with that. Versus one at 2,300 RPM with a smaller sweet spot. I think I would prefer the higher spinning one with the smaller sweet spot at that point, because at least I'm able to shape my balls in, and that's a big component of my game. If I can't hit that big serve with a lot of top spin and heavy drives and shape my dinks the way I want to, then that's a lot of
But
my game.
let's say a lead spin with that gearbox that we were talking about.
Wow.
You can't make that work.
I can make that work more than I could a high power paddle with a big sweet spot and total garbage
Really?
spin. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Number 1, RPM. Number 2, twist weight. So that plays in the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, swing weight. I feel like twist weight is more important to me than is swing weight. Take it with the relative. Like I can't play with a 150 swing weight, even with the best twist weight in the world. Balance point is number 4.
Okay.
Yep. So the balance of the paddle. And then Q-core is down at number 5.
All right.
Because I feel like these other things need to be in place for me to be comfortable with a high power paddle. Now, Q-core is dealing with firepower, obviously. But like the elite firepower paddles, I need to have good spin, first and foremost. I need to have a good sweet spot, secondly. The balance needs to be right, third. But everything has to be there before that elite firepower, right? So don't get me wrong. I feel like PB core, PEF, Q core are all hugely important for the consumer, right? To know, what objectively the effectiveness of the paddle ball collision is, right? I think that's amazing information to have. But yeah, when it boils down to it, and we're dealing with the performance of an individual paddle, then to use something with elite firepower, I have to have all these other things in place first.
Excellent. Well,
Excellent.
we're close.
Yeah.
Except backwards.
Yeah, it's pretty much like your list was the reverse of mine.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. The next segment here, Eddie, the next 100 episodes. Let's put on our wizard
love
caps
it.
again
All
and
right.
think about what the future of this podcast is going to look like and what the future of pickleball is in paddles technology, because that's our jam. All right. Speaking of paddles and technology, where is paddle tech going in the future? We don't have to do another full-blown prediction. We feel like we just did that a couple of months ago, right?
I think we just did it today.
We did it today. We looked back on our past, predicting the future. So we're all over the place. But what do you think, Eddie?
I think the focus is going to continue to be durability and forgiveness, John. I mean, obviously power is what it is. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see that power spread across the face more consistently, more evenly, and more predictably.
Yeah.
For a lot of these top-tier paddles. And then durability. Like we were pontificating earlier, if a paddle doesn't have some sort of durable grit that's proven in a laboratory setting, there's no reason to even release a top-tier paddle otherwise.
Yeah. Just thinking about the durability thing, I might have to go back and revise my statement earlier that in the future we won't have any $300 paddles, because if paddle companies are serious about durability and they actually do find a way to make grit durable for years, let's say, and the core is durable for years, and the surface layup sticks to the core. Let's say your average paddle lasts as long as a tennis racket, but you don't have to replace the strings every few weeks or every year, right? As the tennis racket.
Yeah.
Then yes, I think that they're going to have to sell those paddles for more than $300, right? If they want to stay in business, right? If nobody's buying a paddle for every few years, like you buy a paddle, you wait 3 years to buy another one, they're not going to be able to make a living as a paddle company, paying their pros and everything else.
I would bet the purchasers of these most recent durable grit offerings are still going to be buying paddles.
Yeah.
In 4 to 6 months.
There's always, but take this into consideration too. We're still in this upward trajectory of paddle innovation,
True.
right? There's always something new and exciting coming in a few weeks or a few months. What if we reach peak paddle? And peak paddles are 3 years durable. Whew. The same business models won't work anymore, right? I think the paddle prices would have to be a lot higher. So maybe
Okay.
I'm taking back my previous prediction. That's a new prediction.
All right.
But I think you're on point. Durability is going to be a major driver of innovation, and that's what clearly, right now, people want more durable grit, and that more durable grit is also providing immediate performance benefits. It's not like we're getting 2,000 RPM that lasts, several times longer. It's like Spartus P1 is getting 2,900 RPM with the cannon and 2,500 RPM with my arm, right? And same with the hex grit, same with the blue grit from Honolulu. So that's that's helping consumers and paddle enthusiasts get excited about this, because honestly, it's hard to go back to paddles that I used to think spun great, playing with the 11624, playing with the Spartus, I haven't played with that Blue Grit yet, but I did test it with my arm, and I got 2,500 RPM with my arm.
Amazing.
And if I can get that on the court versus 2,200, which was the old gold standard, I'm picking 2,500 RPM every time. So I understand like the intrigue and the excitement about these paddles, and if that lasts longer, all the better, right? And then your second point, like power without sacrifice, right? I think that's where the paddle trends are going, the paddle innovation trends are going. Again, narrowing that margin between power and control. And I think, we can there's still a lot of room to be made and a lot of innovation to be made in that direction. I think spin is going to get to kind of peak spin in terms of what's allowable and durability. Like clearly the regulatory agencies still have some work to do in terms of direct spin testing to measure what the allowable spin is. Is it 2,100 with the Canon, 2,300, whatever that is, that'll be capped. But I think a big component of innovation and spin will be not just like the actual physical aspects of the grit or the smoothness or the tacky surface, but combining those two in the way that Spartus did with the P1. So they're not only using like the RZ, RT from the Starrett machine, so they're using actual peaks and valleys, getting some grit there, but they're also introducing a tackiness. I don't know how they did that, but there's a tackiness to it. So there's a coefficient of friction element too. So I think that's going to happen with other paddle companies too, where it's not just grit, it's not just coefficient of friction, it's a combination of both, and that's going to lead to, there'll be a clean sweep.
Where does nanotech fit into all this?
Yeah, I want to go back. If somebody, we're not going to be able to have time to cover the comments today, but somebody mentioned why don't you use your ball cannon to test and a high-speed camera to test nanotech, and I think I'd absolutely want to do that. But one of the issues with the smooth tacky surfaces was humidity and climate. So you take a nanotech. I didn't experience this personally, but I heard from a lot of people who did, including some pros. The pros were like, the nanotech is, I can't remember which one it was. It was amazing at the baseline, but sucked at the kitchen, or vice versa. But one of the strokes from the pros where they were getting a lot of slippage on the nanotech, but the other one where it was like kind of flicky spin was the opposite, right? So, and that is also an issue of humidity. So when it's humid outside and you get like a little bit of condensation on the surface, it just skids off like ice, right? So it gets total crap spin in humid conditions. But here at altitude, where it's very dry in Colorado, I was getting great spin on the nanotech. So that's an issue that's going to have to be overcome with the friction-based spins. But I also heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard some rumors that the P1, Spartus P1, doesn't get as good spin in humid conditions because of that friction element. And again, it's kind of absorbing some of the water molecules in the air. This is just purely based on rumor. I don't know if that's true at all, but it's just something to keep an eye out for. So yeah, I think there's a lot more to room for innovation and spin with regard to friction versus grit. And then my big one, I don't think this is going to happen in 2026, but vibration nodes are going to be eventually very important, because those play into your perception of the sweet spot and feel profiles of the paddle. And we know, I feel like, once we kind of dial in the sweet spot and dial in the power levels, dial in the spin, that feel is going to be big, and it's becoming big right now. I feel like people are wanting to feel paddles in different ways and have different preferences, and vibration nodes are a big part of that. I think probably the biggest part of there's auditory things. I think the sound profiles of paddles is going to become very important, and we need to come up with explicit categories to describe the sound of the paddles as well. So all those things.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to what do we want to build in our next 100 episodes in terms of content. Where do we want this podcast to go?
You want to start, or you want me to start?
Yeah. I'll start. We'll trade off.
Go for it.
So I'll jump into what I left off with is audio properties of paddles. So I'm building I've been building for a while now a paddle app, and I'm going to integrate that into my website as well. So you can get a mobile version of the website, or if you want to download the app, you can do that. And part of that is going to have audio samples for each paddle, right? And I'm collecting them here in this nice sound studio. I'm doing a big serve, and I'm doing a dink. So each paddle will have 2 sound samples, headphones recommended, and I have really good microphones. I have a good studio, and you can actually hear. And I'm mapping the peak auditory frequency for each paddle, and it's trending in really interesting ways. And I have a preference for the lower, bassier tones, and I can actually see that in the frequencies. And I think that's going to be a guiding point for people's preferential choices in terms of feel and sound properties of paddles. I think it might sound gimmicky right now, but I can almost promise you that it plays more of a role than people think right now. Like the sound of a paddle is important, right? And it ties into the feel of the paddle and actually the performance of the paddle. Like how you feel about a paddle is important, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big part of the new paddle app.
And you ought to be able to pull those vibration frequencies through the handle as feel. Mm-hmm. So not just auditory, but also...
Yeah, I mean, it links in together. Like you put a accelerometer on a paddle, and it's measuring the same thing as the sound properties are in terms of frequencies, right? Yeah, so absolutely. It ties in directly with the feel of the paddle.
John, I love what you started with the high-speed camera. I think there is so much content that is yet to be explored with that, and not just in data gathering, but just in the feel and the emotions that we get from pickleball can only be expressed in very slow motion sometimes. Mm-hmm. The impact angle through the ball, on a hard drive. Mm-hmm. I think seeing something like that in very slow motion can be very telling about like what we're getting out of the sport in terms of moving through the ball, and that kind of thing. Also, I can't wait for the next generation of eyeglass testing with the high-speed camera, because it's so important for us to have that information about safety gear that can only be obtained through high-speed photography. And so I think we're getting there. I can't wait to see more.
For sure. I'm excited about all that, clearly. On that note, one of the things I wanted to bring to my content this year is a new pro interview series called Clocked, and this has been in the works for a while in my mind, and I just kind of it's going to happen at next week. Actually, I'm going to interview some pros at St. George, Utah for the Black Desert PPA, and this Clock series is going to be on court with a pro. And I'm going to scientifically measure their RPM, their miles per hour on different shots, and back all of that up with high-speed video imagery of their shots. So we'll be able to bring in like coaching experts to look at, Ben John's clocked. Ben John's hit a top spin serve at 2,300 RPM at, max speed of 65 miles an hour, right? And then we can have like leaderboards. And bring in other pros and accuracy, so we'll set up cones and stuff on the court and look at like, so pickleball, this is the amazing thing about pickleball is that it allows so many different directions of talent. Like you see people on the court that you never expect to be great at pickleball based on their physical appearance. They don't look like an athlete, but they'll smoke you, right? Because they have something unique to bring to pickleball. So fleshing all of that out with high-speed imagery and RPM and miles per hour and speed and all that. And, who has the highest speed on the overhead smash? I want to see like Chris Hayworth's backhand in super slow motion. Who doesn't want to see that, right?
Hey, can we add celebrities to the mix?
Yes,
I mean, sure. Jamie Foxx, Stephen Colbert, Emma Watson. Let's hook them up and add them to the list.
Celebrities and even amateurs. Like, what does a pro backhand two-handed topspin dink look like compared to an amateur?
Yeah.
Right. What makes the pro elite versus the amateur? And you'll be able to piece all that out. And I feel like that is going to be It's going to not only appeal to us paddle nerds, and clearly I'll bring in equipment into this. Like, how does the paddle play into this, right? What's the Q core of the paddle they're using, and how does that influence the amount of speed they're able to generate? What does the grit look like? What do the RPMs look like on my Canon test versus what they're getting on the court? So it's going to be it's appealing to paddle nerds and paddle enthusiasts. And who doesn't, from the general population who's remotely interested in pickleball, want to know how fast a pro is able to hit the ball?
Sure.
Right?
Well, they already think they're there, and well, maybe they're not.
Right. So I'm so excited about this series, and the first person to reach out to me, so the PPA notified pros, Andre Daskew immediately was like, John, I want to do this. So he's going to be the first pro in an interview. He's such a nice guy. Like, you see it, do you ever read his Instagram posts? They're so like motivational, inspirational, you know? He's the same way in text. He's just like, John, this is such a fabulous idea. You're such a great guy. And I'm like, I kind of love Andre Daskew right now.
Is that all it takes?
So, yeah, he's a good guy. So I'm looking forward to that. We got Elise Jones. So both Carbon pros, yep. And talked with Diola. They're going to set up some pro interviews for them as well. And this is going to be a recurring series, like ongoing series, right? So each, I don't know,
Ooh,
maybe
John, you're killing it.
maybe 4 tournaments a year. I'll go and travel and just collect a bunch of pro interviews, and we'll see where it goes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
All right. I got a bunch of other stuff, but clearly lab expansion is going to be in the future. I want to get, we will be, did I tell you that Michelle and I are going to be moving to Denver this year? I didn't tell you yet.
What?
So yeah, my 2 boys are going to school in Denver now, and for me to be see them more often, I need to be down there. And Henry, my stepson, is graduating this year, so it makes sense for us to move down there. But it's going to be more like Commerce City area, so it's not very far from you. So.
John, that's the absolute shittiest part of Denver.
You gotta love the smell. not actually Commerce City,
Okay.
but it gives you a place marker.
That's
right?
not too terribly far.
Yeah. So if we need to, we'll rent a studio. So because we're not losing Eddie.
Okay, well, you can give me a commuting allowance or something.
That's right.
Per diem.
Per diem. So yeah. Anyway, the whole point of this is
When's that happening? The summer?
end of summer.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah. So we're still considering if we're buying or renting or what. But lab expansion, bigger lab. I kind of love this little studio. I'm going to be sad if we upgrade to a bigger studio, but it's going to have to happen.
It's a bit of an OSHA violation, I have to admit.
Eventually it's going to have to happen. I want to get better spin modeling, better equipment. You know me. I'm constantly going to get new and better equipment.
John, I am excited for the work that you're doing on sweet spot testing, doing more of a matrix on your Q-core numbers to see what that looks like across different points on the face. That is going to be, I think, a game changer.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless you're not doing it anymore, in which case, what a waste of time.
I'm done with that. I'm going into full-time gossip. This is going to become a gossip
Pickleball
channel.
gossip.
Right.
I like it. You start.
All right, Eddie. Anything else?
Oh, man. Need some more wine.
We've got, we did pretty good. We got about an eighth of a bottle of wine left after.
Erika can chug that after the show.
That's right. All right, Eddie. 100 episodes down. It has been
Let's do it again.
a pleasure, and I'm glad to be sitting across from the longest lasting co-host in the pickleball space. That is a badge of honor. You deserve a trophy.
I kind of had that honor about, 95 episodes ago, didn't I?
No. I mean, Pickleball Will was at least a year,
Yeah,
probably
and then
close
Isaac,
to 2.
right?
And then Isaac's been there for a good while,
Okay.
too.
That only applies then to Pickleball Effect.
That only applies to- Too soon? No, I think it's fair now.
Sorry.
That happened over Christmas, so yeah, we're a few months out.
All right.
All right, Eddie.
Good stuff. A lot of fun, John.
Yes, sir. I'll see you in 2 weeks because next week I'll be in
Utah?
St. George, Utah.
All right. Have fun out there.
Thank you, sir.
See ya.